is stable. Normally, I need to log back into the university network with some login data. And for some reason, it does not ask me to do it, which I think has got something to do with the
So we are live, not to worry. Namaste, good evening, greetings from all of us in India. Welcome, Dr. Bettina von Stamm. And it's a pleasure learning from you. And welcome to all the people who have joined us on Facebook Live to learn innovation from the subject matter expert on innovation. So Bettina, you are in India. How has India been treating you?
I absolutely love India. Of course, it was a bit of a disappointment that I arrived on the 4th of January, and on the 5th of January, all my students were sent home. So I have been looking at computer screens and black boxes with letters in them instead of being in a classroom with students. So it's definitely not my favorite way of teaching. But I'm grateful that it's been possible that way at all.
All right.
So I love being here.
And how long have you been in India now?
Almost a month. So I arrived on the 4th of January and I'll be leaving on the 1st of February. And it is definitely not the last time that I've been here.
Right. So you have done a lot of innovation on innovation, and we're very happy to have you with us for the author experience conversations. Every Sunday, we invite authors from around the world to have cool convos with inspiring authors like you, so that our participants and people who join us on Facebook can get some cutting edge insights. And today we are looking forward to learning about innovation from you. So before we dive into the books and dive into the concept of innovation and the subject matter of innovation, I'm going to start with my first question that I pose to all our authors who are featured in the experience called Cool Convos with Inspiring Authors. And that question is that, if we had to get rid of all your titles, get rid of all the laurels you have won over the years, all the several awards, all the several accolades that you've received for all your work on innovation, and say to you that, tell us, Bettina, if we asked you to define yourself as an individual, as a human being, in 7 descriptors, what would those descriptors be that would define Bettina von Stamm in the best possible way as an individual, as a human being? The descriptors can be adjectives, nouns, pronouns, roles, responsibilities, values, principles. So what would the 7 descriptors be?
That is a wonderful question, and I only have 7.
Yes, 7.
I have to think carefully.
Yeah, each descriptor can be one word or a set of words. So over to you. We are listening.
Right. Well, then the first that comes to mind, it might be a little bit surprising, but it is the color purple.
Okay.
Because the color purple is my favorite color. And if anyone who knows me reasonably, or even just a little bit, if they receive a blank purple card, they would know it is from me, because that is sort of really my purple, well, my trademark color. And when people ask me, why do you wear purple, or are you not afraid because I've got so many things and everything is purple? And they ask, are you not worried that you might get bored of it at some point in time?
Right.
My answer is always, my love for the color purple started when I was in my teens, and it only got worse. And it's just why I'm wearing the color. It's just a color that makes me feel entirely at home, entirely comfortable. Okay. So that's the first thing, purple. Passionate.
All right. So purple and passionate.
Yeah. And basically part of my professional journey, the changes in my professional journey were due to the fact that I always wanted to be passionate about everything I do. And that definitely includes my work life. And so that is why I changed. I started my career off with a compromise gone wrong, realized that, didn't know what to do instead, continued studying or finished my first degree, and then kept eyes and ears open what else to do until I would find something that I can be passionate about.
And how would you unpack the concept of passion?
How would I doing things full-heartedly?
Okay.
Yeah. So passionate, to be passionate for me is to do things full-heartedly, to be really committed, to to give as well as get energy from the things that I am doing. Passion is about inspiring others. So it is infectious, infecting others.
Okay.
With my passion. Yeah, that's probably how I would describe it.
Excellent. Passion actually comes from a Latin word called passio or pati, which basically means suffering. That if you're really passionate about something, you're ready to suffer for it. You're ready to struggle for it, right? You won't give up. So you'll kind of persevere and make things happen. And I think it's very related to innovation, because to truly innovate, you require a lot of passion. So those are two, purple and passionate.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Purple and passion. Yeah. Curious, definitely another one. And I find that being a curious person can be very annoying for other people, because I ask the question why very often. And many people perceive the question why to be a criticism. If I'm asking, but why are you doing it like that? Or want to understand more, very often it is perceived to be a criticism. And I've also drawn my conclusion on why people perceive it as a criticism. And that is because from a very early age, we learn that there is one right way.
Right.
In our education, there's one right answer. And if you don't get the right answer, then you are slow, or you are silly, or whatever it might be. And so when then someone asks us, basically, so if we're believing there is one right way, and then someone asks us, why are you doing it like that? It should be obvious. If there's one right way and I'm doing it like this, obviously I'm doing it the right way. And so if I'm asking, why are you doing it? It seems like I'm being challenging,
right.
Questioning. And but curious is definitely, I always like to understand things. I like to figure out how things work. That's also why I've always been involved in research projects, because I just like to ask people lots of questions. And officially doing research allows me to do that without anyone being able to be offended by it. So curious
right.
is the third.
And curiosity is the key trigger of learning. So I think people and children should learn to be curious. But unfortunately, you're very right. Most grown-ups, most educators don't like too much curiosity. And I think that's one of the things which Einstein writes in his book, that I have no particular talent. All I do is ask questions.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And I think, if we understand why we perceive questions as criticism, as challenge, then we can start changing it.
Right.
So for me, it was a very important insight when I realized that people are annoyed by my curiosity, by my questioning, because they believe there is one right way.
Right.
And so, they are feeling threatened by my questions.
Yeah, because of their insecurity, they don't want to think differently or do things differently. I completely agree with you.
Yes. So, well, I said I have only 7. Now I sort of, find it really quite interesting which words to choose and how to describe myself. I always prefer if others describe me rather than if I have to do it myself.
Right. Unfortunately, you have to do it today because we don't have others.
Yeah, I know. I am aware of that. I like to communicate, so I like to share. I like to, that again, I like to find things out. And when I've had some insights and realizations that I find quite helpful for myself, I enjoy sharing them with others. And I think, this is why I love teaching. This is why I like public speaking, these kinds of things. So because I feel that, through my sharing, I help other people understand. And I also feel that we are living in the context in the world where people are very insecure, where people are very worried, where there's a lot of fear, because of all the change that we experience, all the uncertainty, all the challenges that we are facing. And so I feel that by sharing my understanding, by creating a picture of how I see the world, and how I make the connections, and how I have understood where we are today, that it very often helps other people also to, okay, now I understand. And when I'm teaching or when I'm speaking, I'm always waiting for the moment. This is why I really love to see people, or need to see people, because I wait for the moment where I can see their thoughts going inside. So where I can see the cogs in their minds starting to spin and starting to put things together for themselves.
Right.
So, this is what I'm so in communication in the widest sense.
And I think it's very important to share abundantly, because as a teacher, if you don't share knowledge in abundance and share everything you have, right, then you're not doing the right thing as a teacher. Because I think one of the reasons most people don't like to share knowledge is because of their insecurity, and you spoke about it when you were talking about sharing. So absolutely, as a teacher, you have to share abundantly. Okay, so that's 4.
That's 4.
You're in the spot now. You have 3 more to go.
I know. 3 more to go. 3 more to go. Well, I also think, that, well, now I will use something in the way that other people could describe me as courageous.
Okay.
I emphasize that other people describe me as courageous because very often the decision that other people consider to be courageous are the easy option for me.
Right.
To give you an example, when I finished my MBA at London Business School back in '92, I had decided I would not take another job I didn't really want to do. And so that's when I decided to work for myself. And that's basically what I've done ever since. And so when I was describing to people that I'm now working for myself, many people said, "Oh gosh, that is so courageous." And I was just thinking, no, actually, for me, it's the easy option because, to go into a job that I don't really want to do, that would have required a lot of courage from my perspective. And so I think, having the courage to follow my own path, I think, I don't think I've ever been particularly worried about what other people think or say. And very often when people say, but you can't do that, or, one doesn't do that, or something like that, I either say or at least think, well, watch me. So I like to follow my own path. And maybe that brings me to a 6th one. I think we are at number 6.
Yes.
Is that I enjoy enjoying and being aware of being on a constant journey.
Okay.
And that is also one of the reasons I like the topic of innovation so much, because I started in one corner. Actually, I started with design and design management, and then trying to understand the role in organizations, and then I looked at new product development in my dissertation. That was the focus was on understanding why the development of new products doesn't always go as we think it should, and so I was trying to understand that. And that then got me deeper into the context of innovation, because I realized if we want to understand why organizations succeed at developing new things or not, it's not enough to just look at new product development and the processes associated with it. You really need to understand on how that is embedded in the entire organization, what the leadership behavior is, what the culture is, even what the physical work environment is, and how that either supports or hinders innovation or innovation conducive behaviors. And so it was starting new product development, innovation, of course, creativity, leadership, diversity, realizing how important it was to have diversity. Diversity is the lifeblood of innovation. And then with diversity, I got deeper into the topic of collaboration and the challenges of collaborating in diversity. And then so it was a constantly opening up new doors for me that were inviting me to go through and explore further. And then about 10, 15 years ago, it was the topic of the dark side of innovation, and the topic of sustainability. And over those last 10, 15 years, that the importance of sustainability in the context of innovation has become ever more important to me. And so when I'm I sometimes find I'm talking more about sustainability than innovation now, because I think sustainability is humanity's greatest challenge. And unless we are starting to address it sooner rather than later through innovation, so innovation for me is the vehicle through which we can achieve and move towards sustainability, or actually sustainability is no longer enough. We need to move into a mode of regeneration, because we've destroyed the planet to a degree. Right. That mere sustainability will not suffice. So journey, being on a journey.
Right. And I completely agree with you about sustainability and regeneration, because the human being is responsible for the regressive state of the world as we stand currently. So absolutely agree, and I echo your sentiments. All right.
Yes, and so one is left. One is left.
Yes.
Well, I'm striving for greater levels of awareness and consciousness.
Okay. And how would you kind of unpack that? What do you mean by greater levels of awareness and consciousness?
Well, I think it is very easy. Well, I mean, well, we know that our unconscious plays a huge role in our thinking, in our feeling, and in our acting.
Absolutely.
And so it is really, you know, there's this, well, generally we can have quite a lot of voices in our head who tell us what to do and what not to do and what's right and what's wrong. And so when I say my desire is to develop more awareness and more consciousness, is to become aware of the origin of all the different voices, and really to try to figure out what is the essence of me. What is the essence? What is my original voice in all this noise? Because
Right.
I think that children have this wonderful inner voice. Children, there's a German saying, Kinder Mund tut Wahrheit kund. Basically, children's mouth speaks the truth, because they have got a very, they don't have all the filters, they don't have all the voices that have built up in our minds over our life experience. And very often, because they speak the truth, it is very inconvenient for the grown-ups. And so the grown-ups tend to deny the validity of what the children say, because it might be painful, it might be inconvenient, it might require an explanation, it might require the grown-ups to challenge themselves and question themselves. So it's just no, that's not true, or that's a silly feeling, forget about that, and or pull yourself together, or whatever it might be. And so again, the children have this ability, like they have the creativity, and due to what the grown-ups and education do to children, they are losing many of these abilities. And so I'm trying to get back to, I like to call it the inner way of knowing.
Right. So awareness and consciousness. And I completely agree with you, because I always say, all children are born geniuses. It's the grown-ups who dumb them down, who actually stifle their energy and kill their creativity and kill their curiosity and their ability to learn, rather than being put into a box and a book, which actually kind of stifles their learning abilities and their love of learning. And we've created an entire book series called the Mojosh Inspirator book series, and innovation is a very important learning in the book. And the way we see innovation is that it's not about the next big idea. It's about how do we improve things, how do we go for continuous improvement, how do we make things better, and it's completely kind of aligned with your thinking, because it's all about sustainability, it's all about creating a better earth. So thank you for sharing those descriptors, and I think they're all kind of related to your entire field of innovation. And I just want to ask you, what is your basic understanding of the color purple?
I mean, that's really interesting, because people, people keep asking me that, but I have been just accepting in a way that I can, well, let's put it, I can accept things, I don't need to analyze everything. I want to understand, but I don't need to analyze everything. So if the color purple makes me feel comfortable and makes me feel at ease, then I'm just very happy to accept that. I don't need to analyze why that is.
Okay.
I just notice it.
Okay.
And I embrace it.
Right. Because purple as a color is actually kind of I mean, it's related and recognized as the color of luxury, the color of the color which is rich. And that all colors have certain uh,
Yeah.
ways to read how the color kind of unpacks certain energies. Like red is the color of passion, anger, energy, etc. So I thought you had some thoughts behind that, and that's the reason that the color purple is dear to you.
No, I think it's the other way around. So basically, I just love I feel, as I said, I feel really comfortable with the color purple. And then actually people keep pointing out to me what the meaning of purple is. And I always think, oh, how interesting. But, as I said, I've just always accepted it. I've never questioned why that is. I mean, coming to your point that it is the color of luxury, that is mainly to do with the fact that the color purple was one of the most difficult colors to create, and hence it was a very expensive color, and hence it became the color of kings and of the church.
Right.
That is why it is
Absolutely. So
is
yeah, so
perceived that way. But also,
it conjures certain images of kings and popes wearing it, because
yeah,
it's also considered to be the color of opulence. So that's what.
it is. Yes, it is. That is probably the least thing I associate with it. I associate it much more with spirituality.
Okay.
And there's also, again, sort of, I just found out I was on a silent retreat for a week, and again I was having my purple blanket when we were sitting to meditate, and then at the end of it, when the silence was over,
Right.
and we started to talk, one of our guides in the meditation came to me, and he said, always remind me of the violet flame. And what's the violet flame? And so the violet flame is also a spiritual, a healing concept that I wasn't aware of, but now I have looked up, and it's again something I can relate to.
Absolutely. So yeah, yes, besides being the color of royalty, nobility, it's also the color which is related to creativity and innovation. So I guess that's the synergies that you find with the color. Now, Bettina, I mean, our next segment is where we invite you to share your life story and your journey of life, right from your birth. You were born in Kiev, and to what you do now, and what inspired you to kind of dive so deep into the subject of innovation. So we invite you to tell us your story. You have around 9 minutes, 9 to 10 minutes. And I hope the audience who has, everybody who's joined us as our audience and participants on Facebook Live get some inspiring insights from your life story. So over to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, so I was born the second daughter to my parents, of course, my parents, to whom else, and grew up in a town in the north of Germany, in Kiel. So I was born there. I went to school. I went to university, and I have an older sister with whom, as a child, I did not get on particularly well. I was always the annoying little sister. So she ideally wanted me out of the way whenever possible. Now we are quite close friends. And I think sort of for my growing up, some key aspects is that I think I have very much been a loner as a child. So I spent a lot of time on my own. I think the fact that my parents split up when I was 11 years old, and from that point I felt responsible for my mother, who was not coping too well, at least initially. I think that will have been great influences in my earlier life. So I think there's a lot of time to be on my own, a lot of time to think and to reflect, even at that stage. And also I think the other thing is really becoming very comfortable with my own company. I think that's something that is still the case. And so when I finished my school and was thinking about what I might do, I was interested somewhat in fashion design on the one hand, and in computer science on the other, but didn't really feel strongly enough about either of those. So then I thought about that architecture might be a wonderful compromise between the two. So I applied for my architectural degree, and because it probably because it was half-hearted, I choose a university out of convenience that was close by, even though I could have gone wherever I would have wanted to, but I choose out of convenience to go one local to Kiel. And during my first year, I realized that the compromise would definitely not work. But as I didn't know what I wanted to do instead, I finished my degree as quickly as possible and started to work, and then just kept eyes and ears open what I might do instead. And so in the late 80s, I read an article about MBAs, Master of Business Administration. And in Germany, no one had ever heard of that before. So that was, very, very unusual. People said, MB, what are you talking about? And I just thought it would be fantastic because of all the different topics, business-related topics that are covered in an MBA. And so I felt that if I'm doing this program, then I will, maybe something will come to me that I will want to do afterwards. And again, at the point in time, I didn't really speak English very well, so I knew that I had to catch up with that. And so I left Germany March 1990 to do sort of a kind of an internship at an architect's office in the UK, because, well, they couldn't put me in front of a client because I would not have been able to communicate. But I said, I need to take out a loan to do my MBA, and I don't want to take out a loan for another 6 months. So I need to earn enough to cover my living expenses. And also, when I left Germany, it wasn't certain that I would be accepted into London Business School, which was the only place I had applied to. And so in Germany, certainly at that point in time, I think it sort of changed a bit, but at that point in time, a gap in your CV would have been an absolute killer. Basically would not have been acceptable. So, but to work in your profession abroad for 6 months and then come back, that would have been tolerable. And so after the MBA, as I already mentioned, there was one company I would have liked to work for, and they were laying people off at the time. And that's when I decided, that I would start working for myself. And so I started to work for myself, really enjoying project-based work, then went back to London Business School to do my PhD. And around that time, I also got together with my husband. And so after I finished my PhD, well, basically, the last 30 years, I have done a combination of, as I already mentioned, about teaching and writing and researching and workshops and infecting as many people as I possibly can with a bug for innovation, and more recently for sustainability-driven innovation rather than just generally. And so I have got 2 sons. Both of them are studying, one computer science and the other one sports science, and has joined the Royal Marines Reserves, and at this very moment is doing some of his final tests to conclude that step of his education. And in March last year, I then decided to move back to Germany. I felt it was time for a big change in my life. And so since March last year, I am living in Munich and absolutely love it, which again, I find quite interesting for 2 reasons. A, when people ask me, why did you move to Munich? My only answer is, I heard myself say that I'm going to move to Munich. And so I thought I might listen. That's the only way I can describe it. So I didn't sit down and say, where shall I move? Shall I move here? Shall I move there? I just found myself saying that I moved to Munich. And so that's what I did. And the second thing that I quite find amusing about it is that 10, 15 years ago, if anyone would have asked me whether I ever wanted to live in Munich, I would have said, what, me living in Munich? I'm from the north of Germany. I'm a northerner, and Munich is right in the south of Germany. I would never, ever move to Munich. And of course, I found in my life, whatever I'm saying, I will never, ever do. The universe has different plans and puts me exactly in those positions. And now I can laugh about it, and I find it quite. I enjoy the sense of humor from the universe.
Super. So you are based in Munich now, and that's where you work from. So tell us a little more about the Innovation Forum, which you founded in 2004. What is the forum all about? You call it the Think and Do Tank.
Yes. Well, actually, the Innovation Leadership Forum, the reason I founded the Innovation Leadership Forum back in 2004 is that I wanted to set up a networking group. Mm-hmm. And the reason I wanted to set up a networking group was that when I was in the last stages of my PhD, one of the professors had been asked to set up a networking group focusing on innovation for large organizations to exchange views and experiences. And as it is with professors, they needed someone to actually do all the work. And so he asked me whether I might be interested. And it was really connecting extremely well with the topic of my dissertation. And really, I really love the professor. He's a wonderful human being, and also was doing interesting work that I really liked. So I said, yes, as long as you don't want to employ me, as long as I can do it on a project basis, I will gladly set up and run this initiative for you. And so that initiative was called Innovation Exchange. And London Business School, it was sort of a little bit run. It was located in the Center of Organizational Research, because the professor was hoping that the initiative would enable him to tap into research money from the organization.
Right. So there was an agenda behind forming the exchange.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay.
However, the organizations that joined the Innovation Exchange didn't want to play ball, and that became very obvious during the first year. What they really wanted is to talk to each other, because innovation was not a very well established topic at the time. So everyone was thinking, how do we go about it? What can we do? What do we need to consider? How do we set ourselves up in order to become more innovative? And so they really wanted to talk to each other rather than doing lots of research in the area. Anyway, so the initiative was launched in January 1999. And then I think it was in 2002 that London Business School did a review of all its activities, and they found this thing happening called the Innovation Exchange. And they said, what is that? Is it making money? No, it's not really making money. It's ticking over, but it's not really. Let's close it down. But fortunately, it was a little bit late in 2002 to not to offend the members, and so they let it run for another year. And I tried to use that year to talk to everyone I possibly could to say, well, listen, you're ahead of the curve. A networking initiative focused on innovation. People will want that, and it should not be part of organizational behavior as a research center. It should be part of executive education. It should be part of the alumni. It should be anything that is outward facing from the university. It should be part of that. But no one wanted to listen to me, and I got really annoyed with them. And so when they finally closed down at the end of 2003, I decided, right, I spoke to the members. I said, would you like to continue? Are you interested in continuing? And, some of them were. And so I took all the lessons that I had learned from the 4 years of running the Innovation Exchange, and felt that if I want to set up my own networking group, it is better to have a registered company as a backdrop rather than being an individual who runs this group. And this was the main reason for setting up the Innovation Leadership Forum. And the networking group was called Innovators Anonymous, because I felt it was a little bit like, Alcoholics Anonymous, because as you said earlier, people involved in innovation tend to be quite passionate. They need a lot of passion. They need that drive in order to overcome all the obstacles that are put in their way. And so I felt it was a self-help group to saying, well, I'm an innovator, please help. How do I deal with it? How can I get my colleagues to move along with me and move forward? And now I'm not entirely sure what has happened, because I can see that Jerry has disappeared. How very fascinating. Well, I'm not quite sure whether the listeners are still there. I just assume that you are, so I shall just continue trying to find a thread along which to continue. So yes, basically, what does the Innovation Leadership Forum do? It is really the umbrella under which I coordinate all my activities. It is, I'm running master classes, I teach. I love public speaking. You can probably tell that I enjoy talking, and I have developed a number of tools. So basically, whenever I notice, so for example, when I was working with a networking group at London Business School, and I realized that they didn't really know what they were supposed to do and what they were supposed to change in order to become more innovative. That's when I started developing the innovation wave. The Innovation Wave is my first book, and it is also a facilitated, I call it a facilitated assessment tool for innovation capability in organizations. And the reason that I developed a tool that is not a self-assessment tool is because I really felt it's not good enough just to fill in some questionnaires and look at the results and get some standard answers. The richness is really in understanding, or rather in discussing the findings, in having interviews beforehand to understand the mindset in the organization when it comes to innovation. What do they mean when they say innovation? Because certainly at that point in time, innovation was very much associated with new product development. It was associated with R&D. It was associated with counting patents. And so I felt that, if that is the understanding of innovation, then the benefits of innovation will be very limited. And so I also often talk about the innovation scape, whereby when I'm saying innovation scape and instead of landscape, I'm talking about the fact that there is a whole range of different types of innovation, so, product innovation, service innovation, process innovation, business model innovation, social innovation, and societal innovation. On the one hand, and on the other hand, there are a number of different levels. And Jerry already talked about, the fact that there is incremental innovation, so small changes to what exists. There is radical innovation, so bigger changes to something that already exists. And there is transformational innovation, so the kind of innovation that starts a new trajectory rather than building on an existing one. And so if an organization really wants to benefit from innovation, then it is beneficial to be aware of this entire innovation scale. But I also find it, when I first came across this framework, it only had product, process, and service innovation. And that was back in 2003, and I used it for the textbook that I've written. And when the second, and when I published the book, I added business model innovation, because that's just the time where the business model canvas, which you may be familiar with if you're interested in innovation, was coming out. And I've just got a call coming in here. And I'm just not quite sure what to do, whether I should just keep talking. Well, I am, as you can tell. Yes, and so basically what our understanding what innovation is has grown quite a lot. So when I found the framework, it was product, service, process. When I used it the first time, business model innovation, I added. When the second edition of my textbook was published in 2008, I added social innovation. And then more recently, about 5-6 years ago, I added another category called societal innovation. And the thing is that all these types of innovation have always happened. We've always had these different types and levels of innovation. What has changed is the degree to which organizations try to actively pursue these kinds of innovation. So we're trying to understand, how can we create social innovation? How can we create business model innovation? And so this is what I'm also trying to share with organizations who want to innovate, that there is really a whole innovation scape out there that they should pursue. And maybe I will just pause for a second to see whether Jerry was trying to get hold of me. 1 minute. Right. Yes, I can report back. That was a message from Jerry that the Wi-Fi in his hotel has entirely collapsed. So I'm really sorry that I can't have a conversation with Jerry. And maybe given that it is about a conversation, and I know that there was one last aspect that Jerry would have wanted me to do. and that is talk a little bit about one of the books that I have written, and the one that I've chosen is a book to which I have contributed. And that was very deliberate because I think in today's world, there is nothing more value than collaboration and collaborating in diversity, i.e. bringing lots of different perspectives together. And so the title of the book is The Other Side of Growth, and it talks about an innovator's responsibility in an emerging world. And the chapter that I have contributed to this book is titled Innovation, Beware of the Dark Side. And while I can't, of course, share the entire chapter with you, that would be far too long, I would like to finish by just reading a couple of excerpts that I've put together that are hopefully the bits that that still make sense with the bits that I have cut out in the middle. So let me read to you. There seems to be the firm belief that technology will save us, that it is technology that will be able to alleviate our fears and concerns, particularly in times of crisis, be it environmental, social, or financial. Yet I believe that nothing could be further from the truth. Technology is more likely to take us further away from ourselves and deeper into anxiety. We may have more friends than ever before, yet so many of us feel lonelier than ever before. In 2015, The Independent, a British daily newspaper, wrote about a loneliness epidemic. And in 2018, the UK government appointed a minister for loneliness. Perhaps we would take this more seriously if more people knew that social pain is as real a sensation for us as physical pain. Researchers have shown that loneliness and rejection activates the same part of the brain as physical pain. It seems that we have taken leave of our senses and trust technology more than we trust ourselves. I believe that whom and what to trust goes much deeper. There is a German saying that Kindermut tut Wahrheit kund, meaning that children speak the truth. Yet it seems that this truth, deeply felt deeply and intuitively by children, can be rather uncomfortable for the grown-ups, who rather dismiss it than deal with it. As a consequence is that we, from a very young age, learn to distrust the voice inside of us, losing that infinite source of wisdom. I can certainly recount occasions where, by dismissing my inner voice, I made decisions I came later to regret. Yes, technology makes our lives easier. Calculators and computers relieve us of mental chores, and LinkedIn, Facebook, and dating sites suggestions alleviate the struggles with emotional choices. By relegating these chores and choices to technology, over time, we lose our ability to perform these functions ourselves and are banished to a world where we become passive observers and followers of suggestions given to us by technology. It seems that rather than perceiving technology's output as instructions or guidelines, we obey them like orders. We no longer need to deduce, analyze, and come to our own conclusions. We live in a world where the answers are given to us by Google or whichever other search engine we are using in a couple of seconds, and we accept them unchallenged. Yet interacting cognitively with the environment is, according to one of my heroes, Fritjof Capra, a key characteristic of living systems. I believe that in our desire to progress, we seem to have left some important things behind. Our ability to read our environment, our connection with nature, and with it, the understanding that we are intimately linked and interwoven part of it. Indeed, one of the key insights that can be taken away from the science of quantum physics is just that. Everything is connected. I believe that if we continue this path of progress that relies almost entirely on technology, we will ultimately lose what makes us human. And I think with this excerpt from my chapter, from my contribution to the book, The Other Side of Growth, I will say thank you very much to Jerry for the opportunity, and I'm really sorry that the connection was lost. I hope that you found the conversation of interest, and say thank you very much until we see each other again. Thank you.